Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders, great male son that rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of certain truth. Um, got this article on The Atlantic by way of MSN, basically going into how, I think it says US, but I think it's mainly New York, is basically in like a soft lockdown, and it's kind of how it's not really been pushed in a major way, but more just kind of it's been light, man, because it's kind of basically been, you know, if you're like there's more things to have to comply with, and anyway, it's just like certain things are shutting down where they ain't outright being told to shut down yet, but they're just shutting the shit down, and that's the slow kind of delicate way it's being done, man. That gradualism, where it's just gradually kind of chipping away at these so-called freedoms. You know, these things that people are able to do out here. These things are slowly just being worked down to where it's then like what it's gonna be very normal to just be like, okay, yeah, you ain't gonna be able to go out. You ain't gonna be able to do certain things. You're gonna have to get, certain things. You're gonna have to top up the juice you know, every 4 to 6 months or some shit. You know. So this is what Omnicron is pushing America into soft lockdown. It says, I do not see a scenario. Okay. I do not see a scenario for any kind of shutdown, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio declared this week, as parts of New York were in fact shutting down all around him. Broadway cancelled show after show, restaurants closed their kitchens. De Blasio's successor, Eric Adams, who will take office January 1st, nixed his inaugural gala. There's been no March 2020 style universal shutdown, but New York is not back anymore, baby. For Brent Young, who runs a butcher shop and 2 restaurants in Brooklyn, it began last week when one by one staff members tested positive. It's more or less decimated our workforce, he says. One of his restaurants had been booked solid with parties for a week. The holidays were one of the busiest times of the year. Yeah, this is where men are meant to make the majority of their money as well. A lot of businesses rely on like the lead up from end of summer, like September into December, to kind of make a shitload of money. Like department stores is like that, restaurants as well. A lot of retail industry, they're relying on the lead into the holiday season, man. The whole kind of autumn into winter, because for a lot of the year it'll quieten down, and it might like summertime will depend on spring summer will depend on like how tourism is, and tourism's been shit. So these men might have been like, okay, look, we're gonna make it back in, Christmas, and that's what last year. That's why John Lewis got nuked. Them guys got wiped out. Them guys were done, man. Them guys got done out, man. Them guys they had to sell it. Cause why? It's they were like, yo, they couldn't do Christmas. They're like, yo, we ain't gonna be able to survive, man. This shit's done. So it says busiest times of the year for restaurants, but people started cancelling those parties too. At this point, it's not worth trying to stay open, Young says, because the anxiety is so high, no one's wanting to eat. And imagine like people are losing losing their marbles, you know, just because of this new, because of Omicron, and it's, bruh, like, I don't know what all the fuss is about, man. People are people that have been doing the utmost, man, slavering themselves in everything that's been offered to them. then what? It's you know, they're still terrified. It shows how, hey, people are just gonna, they're just gonna accept it, man. So that says what at this point, it's not worth trying to stay open, Young says. Because the anxiety is so high, no one's wanting to eat. For most, people who took the juice, Omicron will be mild, but even a mild cold, sufficiently widespread, can disrupt the city. And, I mean, if you think about that, and you think about, before 2019, 2020, bro, a whole city getting a cold, like, bro, that was not even that wasn't even remarkable, man. If you just had like the sniffles and you didn't want to come into work, they'll be like, yo, what are you taking time off for, man? That's BS. Like, you don't even, what do you need time off for that for? They'll just be like, yo, just soldier the thing. And that earth. So, Esau's flipping everything. Because why? It's well, we can see. It says a voluntary suspension of activity, a soft lockdown essentially, will help dampen the transmission of the sea. This happened all over the country in spring 2020 when people began staying at home before official stay-at-home orders came down, says Saad Omer, an epidemiologist at Yale and co-author of a paper that studied the phenomenon using anonymized cell phone data. It's intuitive, really. Things become more salient. You react on that. Omer says this feedback loop, which conventional epidemiological models entirely ignore, can help determine the shape and duration of the wave. But exactly how is hard to predict. Yeah, it's basically like, even if they're not, they're not gonna outright come out and say things. People are just gonna, they're expected to just do it. And this one here says, read the liberals who can't quit lockdown. Open that, because this shit is hilarious as hell. So it says, again on the Atlantic, the liberals who can't quit lockdown. Progressive communities have been home to some of the fiercest battles over sea policies. Some liberal policymakers have left scientific evidence behind, which you have to think about, like, if that's the extent, because that's the springboard for everything they've done is, scientific evidence. So for them to then just be like, okay, no, we're gonna leave that behind, you then have to think, like, what the hell is going on? Only when it's safe, my first day of school outfit. What's that? Teachers in Massachusetts. Yeah, these guys are, like, they're done, man. They're thinking, they're gonna be vaporized, like they're gonna be snapped by Thanos, as they're walking in to teach a class, man. So I said, lurking among jubilant Americans venturing back out to bars and planning their summer wedding travel is a different group. Liberals who aren't quite ready yet to what the hell? Liberals who aren't quite ready to let go of the pandemic restrictions. For this subset, diligence against C remains an expression of political identity, even when that means overestimating the disease's risks or setting limits far more strict than what public health guidelines permit. Yeah, so these guys are just doing the most. It says, in surveys, Democrats express more worry about the pandemic than Republicans do. People describe themselves as very liberal or distinctly anxious. Yeah, these guys are super why? Because they've basically just been living, doing, everything's been free, everything's just had no limits, and this has basically brought them back to the reality that, all their plans, everything they're looking to do, that shit can just get thrown in the bin, man, and the law can just have them taken out. Like, that's the thing that they never acknowledged, they never thought was a reality. They never accepted. They were thinking, they were just invincible gods walking around, able to live their life and do whatever the hell they want. And that's been thrown in the bin. And now they're like, oh, wait, hold on, what? What, I'm not an invincible god? Like, what's going on here? And they've basically had the most like their mind has shattered, the foundation of their belief has crumbled, and they're realizing like, yo, hold on, what? I gotta actually look after myself. It's the same thing when you get these guys that will go out. Well, you don't even see them, man. There was an Avon Preach video I watched about these two white boys that went into like where the what the hell are they called? They're called the cartels run shit in Mexico. Them man were in Mexico, and they were just driving in the sticks. they, they, they were just driving in the sticks, and then these men were driving the sticks. So then what the fuck did it? So they were just driving. It was obviously two flamers as well. So they just get stopped, and the guy just pulls up on them with a fucking huge gun in their face, looking to lang them. But they just say, "Oh, gringo, gringo," and they allowed them, and they sent them on. These guys weren't thinking like in their wildest dreams. They'll think, oh, just like so cute, so amazing, so fun. Just want to go out and explore. Oh my god, that's what they're thinking. They're thinking the world was their oyster, and then they realize like, yo, if someone don't like you, they can just come in and blaze you off the face of the planet Earth. Especially when you get outside of the bounds of like America, you start going into the sticks, and a lot of these places, they'll blow. That's why you have people that go like, there was a woman who went kayaking. She went down one river, and then one of the tribes, one of the guys that are still living away from technology, them guys brutal destroyed her, man. I'm like, bro, y'all actually out here thinking like, yeah, you're all invincible gods because you just grew up in the West, man, coddled, away from any form of struggle or harm, and then when the reality kicks in, then it's just like, oh shit. Says as very liberal this thing that this spring after the juice rollout had started, a third of very liberal people were very concerned about becoming seriously ill from C, compared with a quarter of both liberals and moderates, according to a study conducted by the University of North Carolina and political scientist Mark Hetherington. And 43% of very liberal respondents believed that getting the C would have a very bad effect on their life, compared with a third of liberals and moderates. Last year, when the pandemic was raging and scientists and public health officials were still trying to understand how the virus spread, extreme care was warranted. People all over the country made enormous sacrifices, blah, 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 blah. But, well, what does it say? What was that? For many progressives, extreme vigilance was part, okay, yeah. Blah, blah. But, hey, these guys are bugged, man. These guys have basically been overwhelmed by the terror. Esau's plans, his witchcraft, the vibrations that he's pushed out, with how this thing's been dealt with in the media, with how they've presented it to the people, chiefly, that's got people bugging, man. People wilding out, man. They're losing it. That's why it's like if they'll see you without a mask on, they'll be like, "Why don't you have a mask? Don't you care about everyone else?" And they don't care about everyone else. They just care about themselves. That's the joke, man. These guys are all just thinking about. They're like, "Yo, I don't want to die." Hey, what's the scripture say, man? He that seeks to save his life shall lose it. Daniel 8:25, and through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Yeah, that policy, man. Esau's managed to get the minds of the people. The minds of the people are thoroughly, systematically broken, man. People out here are done, man. They are not ready to deal with any further restriction on being able to enjoy bliss out here. They're not able to deal with it. That's why it's like when the corona comes, they're gonna run in to get too, man. The way it's like people, they've been sending out the text messages, NHS text messages saying like, hey, come get XYZ. Come get the juice. And bro, people are jumping on it, man. People are looking to do it as soon as possible, man. Because why? They don't want an interruption to the flow of their life. They want to be able to enjoy themselves. They want to be able to live. They want to be able to continue. They see this place going somewhere. They're thinking about 5, 10 years down the line. They're going to be living a sweet, cushy life out in here where they continue doing the same bullshit. They're not thinking about World War III. They're not thinking about this place, the money crashing. They're not thinking about famine. They're not thinking about any form of hardship. Like they've dealt with the what's been a mostly overblown imaginary hardship from this whole circumstance, man. To where it's like it's not been that much of a danger to them, but they've had all the pressure piled on them. As such, what they're already broken. And when it comes to actual trials, actual tribulations, these guys are gonna be toast, man. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, Shem Rakakadash Rakata. Shalom.